This video is brought to you by viewers like you.
Hi, and welcome back to Pokemon Ecology. Today, we're going to be looking at the Gible line, a line that's about 50% really interesting and 50% really absurd. I don't want to stall, so let's get right into it. As some teeth are shown here, it would be wrong to totally discount teeth from the equation. Instead, I'm proposing that they have standard simple teeth through most of their mouth, like most reptiles, and these teeth are specifically carnassials, scissor-like teeth possessed by caniforms for slicing meat. All three have a dorsal fin, but Gible's dorsal fin is located on its head. Dorsal fins often have muscles attached to the base to allow finned animals to stabilize themselves in water. Considering that these Pokemon aren't in water, I venture to guess that's not their purpose. I think these fins serve a twofold purpose. One, Gabite and Garchomp may use them to stabilize themselves while running or flying respectively. Two, all three of them use them as muscle connection points. Gible's fin is located on the top of the head, the location for bite force muscles in many mammals, quite similar to an opossum skull, as I've talked about here before. Biting is their main form of attack. Gabite mainly digs, which uses the arms, legs, and core, at least in humans. However, this fin is quite thin, and it doesn't look like it did connect well to the legs. The arms and core, maybe. Quick side note, Gabite and Garchomp both have a notch in the fin of the males of the species. Garchomp also has a thin fin located roughly the same place as Gabite. Perhaps instead, only Gible uses it for muscle connection, and its purpose shifts as it matures from force to balance control to match its growing speed. There's not much to say here about the eyes, as they're very simple, but Garchomp's head structure does provide a visor, presumably for blocking sun out of its eyes while it's flying. And finally, in regards to the head, these strange structures. These jet-shaped structures on the side of the line's head are actually some sorts of sensors. These Pokemon often make their home in dark caves, so such alternate senses would be needed. It's specified that these send out ultrasonic waves, which means that this is quite similar to echolocation in bats. However, with Garchomp, it can detect distant prey. How distant is not mentioned. Another entry mentions that it flies at the speed of sound while searching for prey. It could be that the ultrasound is used for cave or low-light areas while it uses its eyes while flying. Otherwise, it'd be outrunning its own sound. On to the main body. Gible's body is ridiculously squished in. Normally, this is a mammalian tactic for heat control. It prevents too much cold or heat from reaching our cores. These Pokemon live in the tropics, however, and their later body structures are built more like a lizard's for maximizing intake of ambient temperature. It's possible that this is just done for energy storage, or perhaps the weight helps them lay on top of prey as they finish them. The scales darken as the Pokemon ages, and this also seems to correlate with its level of activity and time in the sun. The lighter scales may help blend into rocks native to its habitat, or less pigment is used, while these darker scales help it to take in more sunlight while running or flying to keep its body heated. There is an entry implicitly stating that these Pokemon are cold-blooded. Gabite scales are often used in medicine. This wouldn't necessarily be impossible in real life, but it's not the case in any animals. Pangolin scales, however, are still used as medicine in some countries, namely China, but they don't have any genuine medical value. People may raid Gabite dens for their shed skin, but I wonder if there's some concern of poaching in the Pokemon world. We see it in the anime, but I can only remember a Pokemon Ranger game having this as a minor plot point, and Lapras has entries regarding it. Garchomp scales are structured to reduce drag while also being quite rough or even sharp. This isn't evolutionarily used as a weapon against prey or predators, but is instead helpful in protecting their skin from scratches and parasites. Sharks have the same thing. They're essentially covered in tiny teeth scales. This is also quite like cicada wings in real life. They're covered in tiny blades that cut away dirt and bacteria to help keep the wings clean with no effort from the insect. On the topic of wings and also arms, Gible's arms are simple and still developing. Interestingly, these fingers are temporary. It loses them upon evolution into Gabite. I doubt these fingers actually provide anything for Gible, but it may use them for simple manipulation of food or the environment. Gabite sees these fingers developing into a claw, a nub, and burgeoning wings. The large claw, aside from fighting, is likely used for digging for gems and possibly burrowing food that it senses with its head sensors. The claw isn't particularly wide, but it is quite long. This means it's not efficient for burrowing, but it certainly doesn't prevent it. The wings may not do anything just yet, but perhaps it somehow helps with running. Gabite could also use these for gliding through open caves, nabbing bat Pokemon from the air for food, kind of like Garchomp does with flocks of bird Pokemon. Garchomp has these more developed wings, though they're more accurate to glider wings than bird wings or bat wings, and a larger claw. The arm also grows strange, probably keratinous growths further up on the arms that look like its claws or perhaps Lucario spikes. Sinnoh is a region with many large and in-charge Pokemon, so these spikes may actually be used as a deterrent in fights, think localized porcupine needles. However, these large and in-charge Pokemon also tend to suffer from cool dinosaur syndrome, which may be what these are. Up next we have the legs. Gible's short and stumpy legs look like they're either packed with fat or packed with muscle, like a frog's legs. I'm actually leaning towards the latter, as it's said to leap out and ambush prey. Legs grow a great deal, still maintaining that digitigrade-esque shape while also gaining spiky growths on the thighs. My theory is that, due to the inward curve of these spikes, they act as constrictor snake's fangs to hook prey in place while Gabite delivers a finishing blow. Garchomp's spikes seem to undevelop, but still maintain a slight curve to them. Further down we have the feet. Garchomp's feet don't show it well, but Gabite's claws look slightly curved, which is how most claws would be in real life. However, as we talked a little bit about with Sneasler, These longer, straighter claws may act as batons, sticking into walls to enable climbing. Essentially, with Garchomp's propensity to fly and my theory that Gabite glides through caves, this would serve them very well. Finally, we have the tail. Gible's tail is quite underdeveloped and does not have much going on. Gabite and Garchomps, however, have many fins on all the sides of them, which likely is used to keep balance while they're running and also during fights. It's also not impossible, especially with Garchomp's rough skin, that a tail spout might do good in combat against a foe. Moving on to the behavior of the animal. Gabite alone seems to have this hoarding behavior with gems. Crows in real life don't really like shiny objects, so we can't look there for any ideas. It may be that the ownership is a sort of outlet for territorial control while they're not able to control a significant amount of territory due to maturity. This also explains why the behavior is lost as they evolve into the fierce Garchomp. Aggression, however, is consistent throughout the entire line. Gibles are shown to be indiscriminately aggressive, simply attacking anything that moves. Gabites develop this from a simple brain-simple reaction to what may be caution, as their aggressive behavior softens when they're given gems. Garchomps see the aggression return with the fury, seeing territorial battles with fearsome foes and having a supposed feral disposition. Garchomp's ability to cut down trees by running may also be used for marking territory, like a bear's scratches on a tree. On the topic of territory, Gibles are said to huddle together for warmth, so the territorial behavior may not start early on. Gabites have theoretically separate nests where they would stow their gems, and this may be the start of the territorial behavior. However, I recall Garchomp being surrounded by some Gabites in Legends Arceus. Perhaps the species is only territorial to other bloodlines like wolves, or maybe only other species of Pokemon entirely. This is somewhat supported by Gabites fighting with Sableye to protect its horde. However, Garchomp's fighting with Salamence for food is much more supportive of this theory. Quick fun fact, you can catch them as a very rare early encounter in one of Gen 7's earliest routes. Onto the diet. As these Pokemon are pseudo-legendaries, they're rarely in the games, and only a few Pokemon even show up more than once, so have to go off intuition. Garchomp feasts on flying and flocking Pokemon. Gabite may do the same with cave-dwelling flyers like Zubat or Woobat. Sandiles and Diglets would also likely be their prey. Their sonar sensors would help to find them digging underground as well. As for predators, I doubt there's anything that truly hunts these Pokemon. However, there are Pokemon that would fight with them. For example, Salamence. And Flygon also shares some territory too, but I doubt it would win many fights. And that was the Gible line. Let me know what you all think in the comments, leave a like, please subscribe if you haven't already, and also take a look at my Patreon. There's a big new Patreon reward coming up where you'll be able to voice the questions in the comments and answers. I've already released one with a patron voicing it, and more are on the way. Thank you, and have a good day.